it had done this Walmart thing on America, we're just trying to wipe out all the small business people. And it wasn't
I
just
love that
a few.
analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it really
Perfect.
is. I mean, Walmart opens and 100 small businesses go out of business. I mean, that's the average around the country.
And you establish in the book that the founding fathers would basically be rolling over in their graves right now because they did not have a very favorable opinion of corporations. And that's, you brought up the Boston Tea Party as an example of that. And you posited very, very rightly that the Boston Tea Party wasn't so much a rebellion against the government as it was against the East India Company, correct?
That's
So
right.
let's talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, these guys had just fought. There's a reason why the word corporation does not exist in the Declaration or the Constitution. These guys had just fought a war against the world's largest corporation that owned and controlled India and multiple other smaller countries. And it was the largest corporation in the world. Its major stockholders were the king and members of parliament. And it had done this Walmart thing on America, we're just trying to wipe out all the small business people. And it wasn't
I
just
love that
a few.
Yeah.
analogy.
Yeah, well, it really
Perfect.
is. I mean, Walmart opens and 100 small businesses go out of business. I mean, that's the average around the country. And it was the same thing. And there was a severe recession in 1771, and it hurt the East India Company badly. And so they were the principal supplier of pretty much everything to North America that came from the United Kingdom. And so they went to the Parliament, which owned stock in them, and they were bribing and paying off and whatnot, and said, we need a tax break. And so Parliament, the way that they taxed tea back then, they taxed it when it was brought into inventory. So they bring the tea from India to England, and when it went into inventory, they paid the tax on it. And then when they sold it later, they didn't have to worry about the tax. So what Parliament did is they forgave that tax. It was the biggest tax break for a corporation in the history of the world.
Corporate welfare cleans in the
Exactly.
1700s.
So the East India Company then starts trying to bring this tea to the United States to at super low prices, which they could do now, to compete with all the small tea importers that they referred to as smugglers and pirates. And the people of the East Coast were just having nothing to do with it. I mean, we didn't drink coffee in America at that time. Everybody drank tea. Tea houses and bars were the social gathering spots. Tea houses during the day, bars in the evening. And the tea houses were all individually owned by small entrepreneurs. And here was the East India Company threatening to put them out of business and just wipe them out. And they just said no. And that was the Boston Tea Party. It was a revolt against a corporation. Just a couple of years, and that was in 1883, 2 years later. Just a couple of years, the Boston Tea Act or the Tea Tax Act that happened right around then. Just before that, Thomas Jefferson had written a pamphlet, a fairly long pamphlet called A Summary View of the Rights of British Americans, in which he was telling his fellow Americans how to be good citizens of England while living in North America. He was not in favor of separation from England. And then the Boston Tea Party happened, and suddenly Thomas Jefferson and a whole bunch of his buddies just said, okay, that's it. We're changing our minds. Because in response to the Tea Party, they imposed the Boston Ports Act, which said that until the local tea guys paid back the East India Company for $1 million worth of tea that they destroyed, they were going to barricade the ports, which was basically an act of war. And that was the thing that triggered, essentially, the American Revolution.